What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics podcast. I am your host, Dylan Davis, joined by Matt McGinty, George Ryder, and my man Snap. Guys, we are back.
We made it.
NBA is back.
Fucking time.
The Sixers are back. It's time. And just for you, our loyal viewers or TPL viewers, or if you're new to the show and new to TPL, we have a special giveaway for you guys. It's opening night for the Sixers. Christmas is on Friday, so we're in a giving mood here with the Phaithful Phanatics crew. So if you subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel, if you follow us on Twitter at FaithfulFans2, that's at the bottom of your screen right here, at FaithfulFans2, and comment live with us your your points total prediction for Joel Embiid in tonight's game versus the Wizards. The closest or the person who has the points spot on will be chosen at random tomorrow to win a Joel Embiid City Edition t-shirt from your Phaithful Fanatics crew. So,
yes, sir.
Hang out with us, join the conversation, comment your points for Embiid, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter, and let's have some fun, boys.
So track of all this. It's not one of us, right? Is it someone? That's a lot.
That's
a lot to keep track of.
Someone is the call.
We got an intern on that. Intern.
I got to bring back intern Dave for this one, but
yeah.
All right. So first business before we get into the game itself tonight. Me and Gint did something on the Daily Dose show last night, and I want to get George and Snap involved. So the 15-man roster was announced the other day. Mm-hmm. No surprises really. Ben Simmons, Danny Green, Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid are your starting five. Off the bench, Shake Milton, Dwight Howard, Furkan Korkmaz, Tyrese Maxey, Mike Scott, Matisse Thybulle, Isaiah Joe, Tony Bradley, Terrence Ferguson, and Vincent Poirier. They kept four centers. So, guys, my question to you two, and then me and Gin will chime in because we did it yesterday for those of you who didn't watch. Doc Rivers has said he wants to run 10 this season. Obviously, when it comes to the playoffs, you're really talking 8, 9, maybe max, depending on how guys are playing the flow of the game. So with that being said, there's 11 here, guys, that with me and Gint were saying last night, with the camp and with the two preseason games that Mike Scott played in, I mean, you got to assume he's going to be in the rotation to start. So your starting five are locked in, and then Shake and Dwight are guarantees off the bench. That's 7. Now, Korkmaz, Tyrese Maxey, Thybulle, and Mike Scott. One of those guys, maybe they all play, but let's just hypothetical game. He only uses 10. Which one is out? The odd man out. George, we'll start with you. I know we would love it to be Furkan, but
it's not.
Just before you get into that, Furkan realistically is a lock. I don't even
absolutely.
They've only talked about floor spacing, and Furkan is, of those guys, really the only floor spacer. So I would even put Furkan in the lock and move on to those last 3.
No doubt.
I like Matthew. Matthew, I like where your head's at.
See,
Yams is back. He says Thybulle is on the chopping block. Damn.
I don't disagree with that.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, I want to point out yesterday that a lot of beat writers have been writing that Mike Scott is going to be taking over more than Matisse in minutes-wise, but I still lean towards Mike Scott being the odd man out, quote unquote. I think Matisse gives you more still, especially on the defensive end. And I mean, I'm going to lean Mike Scott on this one. That's what I think. But I didn't hear your guys' answers either, so I'm excited to see what you guys say. But I lean Mike Scott.
I completely agree with George. How you're hearing these rumors. You're hearing these rumors that like Thybulle might lose minutes in the upcoming future because for whatever reason. If preseason told us anything, it seems like he's not fitting in the rhythm of the offense. But maybe I would say Thibault in the beginning of the season, I guess. But I would assume that for the majority of the season, it's got to be Mike Scott. Mike Scott, unless if we just didn't see something last year, like that Mike Scott was actually a serviceable piece. But I would say Mike Scott in the long term. But if it's Thibault right now, I think that will change as he gets accustomed to the offense. I hope.
It's tough. It really is. To me, you guys are right. It comes down to those two, in my opinion. I think Gint agreed with us, you guys and me last night. I can't see 2 games, especially with the ankle injury and the shortened camp, limiting his practice time. Thibault's definitely going to get a run. And Mike Scott in those 2 games, I have to assume he's going to get a run. So I think 11 might be hitting the floor in limited minutes, of course. But Mike Scott in the 2018 and 19 run with the Sixers and the Clippers and then the Sixers with the Tobias trade shot a little over 40% from 3 that year. And the hive was created here in Philly. He was loved. And then last year,
T-shirt on my wall right now from Mike Scott.
And then last year, I mean, the whole mess of what this team and rotation was under Brett, he shot like 36%. He was almost unplayable. So the question is Mike Scott more of that 2018 player, or is he just what he was last year? And that's what you're going to have to find out early in the season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they'll all get some run to start the season, but just for our hypothetical question, if I had to pick right now, I don't know. I don't even remember what I said last night, but I would probably think Tyrese Maxey will see the least amount of minutes out of those guys. Just because Thibault has a year under his belt. He was battling an ankle injury. Doc's going to give him a chance, and I don't think he'll go away from Mike Scott. Like Mike Scott, like you said, was his guy. I shouldn't say his guy. He played well under him, and he knows what Mike Scott is. So right now I think Maxey, sadly, would probably see the least amount of time, especially with Shea coming off the bench.
All right, let me get to some of the comments here before we continue. Matt says Korkmaz cannot play. I mean, up here, I'm sorry. I skipped this comment. Korkmaz is horrible, in my opinion. You're not far off. He's got to be hitting shots for him to be playable. Marky215 said, what's good, everybody? Marky, I know you're subscribed to TPL YouTube. Comment your point prediction for Joel Embiid in tonight's game for a chance to win the T-shirt giveaway. Yam says, I hate Korkmaz too, but Thibault hasn't progressed enough overall. And then, guys, we have multiple people saying Matisse is the man out. But then, well, maybe not, because now Matisse is the future defensive player of the year, no cap. So I don't know.
I'll say I'm very happy with the way our bench is set up right now. I think we have a solid bench. I think this is a good situation to be in. And if we're choosing between the 3 guys we're choosing from, because I think Korkmaz is pretty much a lock to get minutes, it's not a terrible situation, and it probably will rotate throughout the year. Like that's probably how we'll do it.
I think a big reason you could see Mike Scott is because maybe this team is so low on traditional power forwards. And if Doc is going to commit to this whole idea of like keeping Ben mainly as the 1 in most sets, then maybe Mike Scott sees the floor to, give Harris a break at the 4, because we really don't have a 4. We have 4 centers on the roster, and I think that's mainly because our superstar center can possibly get hurt at any period of time. And Dwight Howard's older, so I feel like that's why there's 4 centers on the roster right now. But we're really, really thin at power forward, and Mike Scott's role nowadays is power forward especially as he's gotten older. So I think maybe that's why you see the minutes going to him, being the stretch 4 type, especially in bench role, because he can't keep up with starters. Yeah. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Go again.
It's funny that you said that, because me and Dylan were looking yesterday, just with all these Harden rumors, all that, and I was like, dude, if we trade Tobias, Matisse, and Shea, I was like, who's going to start at the 4? I was like, we can't start Danny Green, Seth Curry, and James Harden.
It's just too small.
I guess Mike Scott would, but that's for another time. That was just something that I found funny, because
the team is super light at fours. That's kind of like why back at draft night, a guy I kind of was keeping my eye on if he slid to 21 was like a guy like Jalen Smith, because it's like, yo, we kind of need a young power forward. I don't know.
I got a great comment for you, but I got a few to get to first.
Yeah.
Finn here says, I think Doc will play 11 today, and then in the next few games he will work out who will not play. That's where I'm at. It's just
True.
a little.
I believe so too.
A conversation to have. Nasty Sizzle 6 has 30 down for Embiid. Marky says, I think Matisse may have lost some confidence with all the new players we got. Yes, comment your point total on this stream to be entered into the contest. And then for everyone watching right now, subscribe to the TPL YouTube channel. If you have a Twitter, follow us at Twitter at
Everyone's got to have a Twitter at this point. I know you got a burner.
And then comment your point total here to win a Joel Embiid City Edition T-shirt. Again,
yeah, I was gonna say, good again. No, thank you.
He's getting off.
No, thank you. No,
he just signed a deal with the Suns.
Yeah,
He's not.
He made a lot of money we wouldn't probably have given him. But I will say this: if any of these process players return, I'm gone.
Even Ish Smith,
TJ, Dario, Covington, Ish Smith, Raul, everyone you could think of, besides Tony Roden. He has like a soft spot in my heart.
He started the process, so
yeah, which is why I don't like him half the time. But.
Yeah. All right.
We have Chris Dibler here saying 10,000 points, 20,000 rebounds, and 4 assists. Thanks, Dibes.
Superhero movie.
Nadir has entered the chat, boys. After seeing the Nets yesterday, I realized that we need to get Harden. We don't stand a chance against the Nets with this squad. Look, the Nets looked really good yesterday.
Point.
Gint said today too. He was like, "How the hell are we gonna guard this team?"
That's fine. But let me throw this out there. Without Clay and Draymond, the Warriors are not a good team. B, we haven't seen what this squad is yet. So can we at least see this Sixers squad play a little bit before we start saying that yes? What do you mean no?
No, I have to be completely honest. Now the fact listen, the Warriors, that Warriors team we saw last night isn't because they're bad, even though Clay isn't there. It's not because they're bad. It's because that's for the first time in probably 5 years. Like, there are some really new faces on that team, and they're figuring stuff out still. You don't have Clay, you don't have Draymond. They're just figuring stuff out. That team's not as bad as they looked last
Warriors
night.
are not bad at all. The Warriors will make the playoffs.
No, the Warriors will make the playoffs. They got a solid starting five. No Clay, no Dre, no matter what. But the Nets showed you something. It doesn't look like the Nets have hiccups coming into this season. It looks like not minus their defense. Minus their defense. You know, they're letting up, like you said before the show, they're letting up a lot of looks from the corner, and that's going to be a problem. But I see this team being a more offensive team regardless, because Steve Nash is the coach. We expected a high-scoring offense most likely.
D'Antoni's on the staff.
And this team's also going to be a big team for the playoffs. This team's built to meet the playoffs. They can coast in there as a 3 seed or a 4 seed easily and probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's be honest. So I think after seeing the Nets play last night and seeing how serious they are and how good they could possibly be in the playoffs, especially in half-court offenses with 2 shot creators like that, I would love to have Harden on this team more than ever now, because I want a shot creator in the half-court set for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely, and you're looking at Karis LeVert looked awesome last night.
And Spencer Dinwiddie didn't even play that great of a game. If Spencer Dinwiddie's there too, and they decide to keep him, like, you have a lot of scoring, man. You have 2 good bigs. I know DeAndre Jordan's older, but Allen still can shot block too. You can swap them in and out. You have guys like Joe Harris and Shamet to just make shots that you can interchange.
Horrible last night.
He looks horrible, but we know how he plays, and we know the game he does.
And thank God he's not a Sixer anymore.
But on that team, you don't need to do a lot. All you need to do is hit your open shots when you got a guy like Kyrie and Kevin Durant playing. And they have a lot of guys that actually fit that mold, and I think they're perfect. I think they're going to be a very good team moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised.
They're going to be very good. And they are, like, KD and Kyrie is scary.
Yeah.
But I'm not going on. I'm not selling.
Don't jump the gun. Don't jump the
I'm
gun.
not saying I'm trading Ben Simmons tonight because I'm scared of the Nets.
No, I know.
But I would rather have Harden going against that team than not. I don't think that's a rational thing to say. You got to meet that scoring ability at some point, and a lot of our scoring comes in a slower variety, especially with post-ups. That team is meant to score the ball fast. Kevin Durant had 10 points in 4 minutes to start the game. You need a guy that can kind of do that too, and we don't have one as of right now.
You also need a guy that can slow down KD on the defensive side of the ball. Not that
I know,
many,
and that's why you have Ben, but you need defense doesn't win games at the end of the day if you have really good offense. Great offense will beat good defense any day of the week. It's just how it is, especially when you have a guy like Kevin Durant. You can stick him. He's going to give you 40 if he wants to give you 40. I don't care how good of a game Ben Simmons is playing. It's Kevin Durant.
Let's move on here. And you guys can comment your answers on the side. Don't forget to comment your point total for Joel Embiid to be entered into the giveaway tonight. So me and Git did this last night on the Daily Dose show. Sixers player awards before the season starts. So your MVP, your offensive player of the year, your defensive player of the year, and your most improved player of the year for the Philadelphia 76ers by season's end. So none of us, me and Git answered last night, so this mainly be towards George and Snap. You guys don't know each other's answers, so we'll see what we have here. George, give me your MVP of the Sixers.
MVP of the Sixers this year, I think it's a very easy question. I think it's Joel Embiid. And not even because he's one of the most dominant big men in the league. I feel like he's coming into this season with a chip on his shoulder. Like, after not making all NBA teams last year, after working his ass off all off season, you see how he's training, you see he's getting in shape, he's conditioning like crazy. I feel like this is the year we see him come out and just absolutely tear up the NBA. Like, I think he's coming into this year more motivated than ever. And now he's got a team around him that, is a lot better than last year, it seems. We have a lot of better role players. We have better guys that can shoot. I think Joe's ready. I think Joe wants to destroy everybody he comes across with. I think Joel's going to be our clear MVP of the year.
On one hand, I always just every year I'm not going to take Ben Simmons because every year I think he's going to take that leap, but I am leaning more toward what Joe just said. It's MVP of this team is going to be JoJo. You heard what he just said about Rudy Gobert and how he made third team over him. He said that's not even close that he made that team over me. And he said even Jokic is arguable. He said Anthony Davis was the only one that should have been above him. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Even though he only averaged 23 and 12. And it's kind of weird that we say that about a guy, but that's an MVP player when you can actually say he only averaged 23 and 12 last year. Because the year before that, he averaged 28 and 13? I think Embiid's going to jump right back up to them numbers. I think he's going to be close to 30. I don't know if he hits 30 just because I don't know how this offense is going to go. Clearly, I know at one point of this offense, it's always going to be centered around Embiid. But, yeah, the MVP's got to be Joel Embiid. I think he's out for revenge. He's already talking shit. We haven't even seen him touch the basketball floor for the regular season yet. I think we're getting a really good Joel Embiid after last year. And he's also eligible for the Supermax this year.
And I'll also say I think he's going to shoot over 30% from three, but that's just a bold take.
Didn't he last year or no?
I took Joel.
You took Joel?
Yeah,
I took Joel. Most of the comments here took Joel. Gint took 2-5.
Oh, okay. Come on. I could have guessed that. You didn't have to say that. Come on.
I took Ben. I think it's a big thing that's for me is obviously Ben is the top 5 defense player in the NBA. Also, there's a lot of mouths to feed on this team at this point, and I think Ben has a really big task ahead of him, making sure they're all happy in terms of just shooters that want to shoot the ball. Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton. So I think Ben is the catalyst of making sure everyone's happy. So that's why I put him as the most valuable player on the team. And like I said, he's also, if you look at the Eastern Conference, you look at wing players, every single night he's going to have a task that is going to be an all-star about Kevin Durant, Giannis, Bradley Beal, everyone you could think of, Pascal Siakam. There's a team that has someone of that nature.
Little breaking news. They just postponed the Rockets Thunder game.
I kind of saw that comment. I mean, dude, the Rockets, COVID, there's so many COVID cases right now.
It's one team.
I agree with the Ben Simmons take. You can go either way on this one.
Yeah.
But
That's what I said.
if I had to put money on it, like who's coming out, like, and if you said like, oh, like who would want to be the most important player on this team, almost like need to be, I think it's JoJo. I think there's like a little fire under his ass. You heard him talk all about last year. He didn't have fun. They underachieved. You've seen him like fighting tooth and nail, trying not to get swept by the Celtics, and like. I think it was just a slap in the face for him. I'm ready for it. If both of them are MVPs, in my opinion, but I'm gonna go with Embiid.
Yeah, I like your.
So
I like
getting that comment. All right, Snap. We'll start with you, then throw it to Billy. Your offensive player of the year for the Sixers.
The same guy that I just said. I think Joel Embiid will be pivotal to this offense. If we're just going straight up scoring the ball, you should expect Joel Embiid to score about 28 points a game this year, and I don't see why not. He does it all over. He does it from the outside. He does it down low. He's got every move in the arsenal down low on that block with his footwork. Last year, I don't think we didn't really see that footwork that we're used to seeing. Not footwork, but those post moves. I feel like there wasn't a lot of highlights of them, and we didn't get to see him on a regular basis. I think this year he's going to try to be the most dominant force in the NBA when it comes to being down low. And I'm excited about it. I wouldn't be surprised if every other night it was like 30 points, 28, 29. Okay. I'm expecting it from him.
All right, George, offensive player of the year.
I'm going with JoJo again. I think, Gint, you're completely right saying there's so many mouths to feed in this team now. There's a lot more shooters, but I feel like we're going to see Joel like 2018 Joel, like 27, 28 points a game, Joel Embiid. That's just what I expect. I really do think he has a fire under his ass. Like, I think he wants to come out there and just dominate down low. He wants to dominate the NBA. He wants to dominate every big man he comes up against now playing. So I'm going with Joel. I think Joel's going to average like 27, 28 points a game this year, and he's going to be our offensive player of the year.
Again, who did you take? Because we said Joel like is split.
So yeah, my thing was I think Joel Embiid is going to average the most points on the team this year. Obviously,
he's going to say
we went outside of that,
but he shoots the most free throws on the team, so I think that's definitely something to put there.
Good point. Good point.
I took Tobias Harris as my offensive player of the year.
Okay.
The reason why I took it is because I have really high hopes for the Sixers this season, and for them to be really good this season, he's going to have to be really good this season. He's going to have
to average 20 plus.
He's going to. I said high teens, low 20s, and he has to shoot about where you want a shooter to shoot, over 40% from three. And I'm praying to God he becomes a guy where it's 2 minutes left in the game, we can kind of hand him the ball and see if he can make something out of it.
I went with Shake.
What?
I went with Shake.
I'm sorry, that's still scary.
I went with Shake just because, like we said, Joel is my answer. But if I'm talking source outside of Joel, I said it last night. I think Shake's going to average 17, 18, like close to 18 a night off the bench. Defensive player of the year, George. I think this is all this
should be a consensus.
Furkan Korkmaz.
I think the easiest question you could ask.
Let's say it on three. 1, 2, 3. Ben
Simmons, 2-5, 2-5. I mean, he's literally going to have. He's going to have the biggest task defensively like he does every year. He's going to have to guard the best player on every team, and he's going to have to do it like he usually does to a T. He's clearly a top 5 defensive player in the NBA. He's incredible defensively. That's why we put him on the star players. That's why he slows down star players. I don't even like it's not even arguable. We all know this, right? Like I think everyone watching knows this. We all know this. Everyone in the comments knows this. It's Ben Simmons.
So we have a couple comments here. Yam says Joel had an up year, but I think Joel has an up year, but I think his fall in the rankings last year was warranted. He regressed mainly because of conditioning, a lack of defensive intensity. Like Snap said, he wasn't JoJo last season. Markey says, I think Joe realized in the playoffs that he really needs Ben for them to take the next step. Our duo can be scary this year. I agree. Everyone, when people say that they can't play together, I just laugh at it and don't even get in a conversation with people. Because when you go
the playoffs together.
Not just that, but when you go back to the 2017 season when they surrounded the two with spacing and shooting, like this team, they were one of the most efficient duos in the entire league, and they very well could play together that season. Taheem says Joel looks healthy and he's putting in the effort of running back and forth the court. Sixers are going to be scary. And Yam says Toby has to play better than he did in preseason for that to happen. Yeah, Toby was awful in preseason. But like I remember when we first started this podcast, me and Snap, in studio months and months ago before the shutdown, Toby was on a run of like 2 weeks where he averaged over 20 points, and he was in an all-star conversation.
Yeah.
He looked awful in the bubble. Like, that's the thing. Toby has to become a much, much more consistent shooter. Okay.
That's another thing. I'm speaking of the bubble. I really need to see is like they need to get out of this whole thing of only winning at home that they were on last year. I know
don't think that'll be
maybe that was a thing, a 1-year thing, and I get home court advantage helps, and being on the road does hurt a lot of people. But like, you can't have that happen because they won't win like games. Like I remember making jokes about this last year, but like I just need to see them like win tight games a lot of times this year. Something to add in there.
That was all coaching and a morale. Like, dude, how many times did we see them on the road just not show up? Literally not even show up. Doc, you think Doc's going to have that? You think this coaching staff's going to put up with that? Not a chance.
And going back to Toby for a second, I think the biggest reason we're all very confident in him this year is because he's playing under Doc now, right? He's playing under Doc. He's not playing under Brett Brown. He's playing under the guy that he was very, very good who coached him. He's very, very good with him. So it's exciting.
All right, last one. Most improved player of the year for the Sixers.
Are we all the same on this one?
I think we are.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Furkan Korkmaz.
Don't even start, Snap.
That was my dark horse.
Sniper Shake Milton.
That was my dark horse for most improved player was Furkan. I swear. When we did it last night, we had one dark horse after, and I said if Furkan could find a way to play a little bit off the bounce and play some type of defense, he'd have to be the most improved player.
All right, so Dibe says over/under on Seth Curry made 3-pointers tonight. Set at 2.5.
Under. They're going to get into the rhythm of their offense. They're not going to be like a perfectly coherent team right away.
I don't think you can bet that right now.
Actually, I'm going over.
If you saw the bubble, or if you saw.
We have Dibes, Markey, and Steven think that they're hitting the over on that one. So 3+.
No.
I hope you're.
I mean, it can go either way. That's why it's a perfect line. But
I didn't see this article, but Yam said I read an article on Bleacher Report today about how Ben didn't use the practice facilities because he lost faith in the coaching.
Yeah, that's
last year.
Keep it moving.
What about last year or like this year?
Said last year. I shake Milton. I think because of last year, didn't really get the ball, but I think this year is going to get the ball. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like we made a coaching change, so he probably will get the ball.
Yeah, I said the Gint. The thing is, we saw the glimpses with Shake, right? That little run he had when Ben was out, the Clippers 39 game,
in the playoffs,
bubble Shake. Yep. But with that being said, so it's not. We know that Shake is going to have a huge role in this team, but I think he takes that next step that everyone needs to see. All right, guys, we only have about 20 minutes left. So how about we start talking about opening night? Because it's finally here. We don't have to play the theoretical game anymore, or the hypothetical game anymore, excuse me. Sixers home versus the Washington Wizards and Russell Westbrook tonight.
Yeah, I got an over/under for you. Over/under 1.5 times Embiid clowns Russ.
Jeez Louise, Jordan.
Over.
They're gonna. I think this is the perfect match.
Give them the number. Give them the number that you found.
Joel Embiid's 0-5 against Russell Westbrook lifetime. Russell Westbrook averages a triple-double.
Sheesh. All right. Keep it moving.
Because until last season, we never beat the Thunder.
I mean, what was that, triple overtime? That was such a good game.
I was at that game. That game was fucking fun.
Such a good game.
That was like a Sunday 3:00 game where you get work earlier. That was nuts.
The block that game, but the best part about this game coming up is that factor. It's Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid. That's what everyone wants to watch. Minus the Celtics, you couldn't have had a better opener.
Gant brought it. Joel and Thomas Bryant get into it all the time for some reason. Hold on,
Probably because
real
he's
quick.
clowning him.
Everyone mute for a second. All right, unmute. Are
Echo?
we good?
He's good now.
No, we're good. I heard myself in the background.
It's probably my mic, honest to God.
No, you're probably fine.
Nah, you're good. It was fun all show, so we'll see. Let us know in the comments if you guys can hear an echo. Okay. Keys to the victory. Let's start offensively. Gint, I'll throw it to you first. We're obviously going to be doing this on the Daily Dose in a little bit, so don't get too in depth with your opinions here. But
Get in depth.
let's go here. Doc and Seth and many players on this team have said that the half-court offense is behind. Obviously the offense behind the defense, but the half-court offense is lacking so far with the shortened camp, and everyone getting familiar with one another. Seth has said he's still trying to find his spots on the floor in the half-court offense. So, again, I'll ask you, where is the offense going to come from tonight? Will the half-court offense look better than expected? Is it going to be transition offense? What are you expecting?
That's a tough question because I think we're a really good transition team, but the guard play they have, I don't think we'll be able to turn them over a lot. I think a lot of it is just going to come from solely Joel Embiid. Like I said, I have numbers. I'm not going to really bring them up, but Joel Embiid is way better than Thomas Bryant. I guess I can just word it like that. I think that's a matchup we have a favorable, just a favorable matchup for us. And then they have Bertans is not very good on the defensive end, so I think Toby could have a night. But like in terms of transition buckets, I don't think we'll be able to turn them over as much as we'd like.
Snap. Where do you see the offense coming from tonight?
The offense is going to be all down low, even though they're not maybe caught up on their half-court game yet. You don't really have to be too great at the half-court game to throw it down on the block. So I could see a lot of play calling for Embiid, especially with the mismatch. There's no one down. There's no one on this team that can guard Joel Embiid in a one-on-one matchup. It's just non-existent. So I expect that a lot. But, you need to run your speed of game. I know we're a transition team, but you don't. I just can't see them wanting to run with this team tonight. This team is fast. They're athletic. You got a sniper in Bradley Beal, and you got a guy that does everything in Russell Westbrook. Two really good guards. So, Danny Green and Seth Curry are going to have a tough night against some of these guys. You're probably going to have to switch Ben onto them once or twice. But I think you need to play your speed of game, most importantly, throughout. Run your offense and just play your pace of game tonight.
George.
Yeah, completely agree. Like you gotta run your offense, and I think when you look at everything, Bradley Beal and Ross are dangerous matchups. So what's the one thing that is going to be very favorable for us? It's down low with Joel Embiid because there's nobody on that team that's going to be able to stop him. And like this is a game that Joel Embiid could go for like 30. Like I don't. He's going to get fouled down low. He's going to hit his buckets. He's going to hit his shots, and that's pretty much what you got to look for the whole time. Like that. That's going to be the biggest factor in tonight's game.
I agree. Like Gint said, I don't know how often we're going to be able to turn them over with Bradley Beal and Russ in their backcourt. So transition offense off of great defense like Doc wants, I don't know how often you're going to get that opportunity tonight. So a lot of your offense is going to have to be run through Joel on the block. Hopefully, I know he was the most his use percentage was like the highest on the block, and everyone still pitch and moan that he needs to be on the block more. I think you'll see that under Doc. I'm excited to see the pick and roll game. I think who's the starting four for Washington? Is it Bertans?
Yeah. I think they're starting the guy Denny Avages, whatever his name is.
Well, the kid from Israel. Who might have a big night. He's a good player.
This really to me is Tobias Harris night. Just flat out. I mean, I see Joel. Joel can easily drop 30 against Thomas Bryant and Robin Lopez if they want to throw Robin Lopez out there. Maybe he'll catch Raul Neto, who's a Washington player. But I think either whether it's the rookie, whether it's Davis Bertans, I think Toby can drop 25, 26 plus tonight. Especially with it being opening night. Toby, because the offense to me every night is going to be Joel gets the most looks and shots. I think Toby's going to be second almost every night.
Yeah, especially like when we were talking about run your offense, run your pace of game. Post up Joel Embiid, wait for them doubles, pass out, move the ball around the perimeter, and find that open shooter. And when you run that type of offense, I see seeing a guy like Toby, like you're saying, like Tobias Harris. It's going to be a guy open from that part of your offense, the double team pass out, move it around. So yeah, I actually completely agree with you that Tobias could go for 25 tonight, especially against the Rook. If Bertans not a rookie, but if that kid from Israel gets any type of minutes on Tobias Harris guarding him, Tobias Harris, this is the type of game you welcome to the league, Rook. Like let's see it. Like I know you talked about, like they've been talking about, just having him play a game that isn't really thinking it out too much dribbling. But when you have a matchup like that, you got to take advantage of it.
Not to mention, this is the perfect comment. Like after the inconsistency of last season, this is the perfect game to open up with and say, okay, everyone thinks my contract is trash, which we all know it is, but play offensively like a max player. Be the pair with Joel Embiid.
Let's hope he can think like that. I know Embiid can, but I'm not sold yet on him thinking like that.
All right. Defensively, real quick, before we move on to the stars of the game and our predictions. Defensively, George, you go first. Do you think Ben shadows Bradley Beal? Do you think Ben shadows Russ? If so, who is it? Danny Green on the other? How's that matchup going to go? Danny Green impressed on the defensive end in the preseason games. He did not play anyone like Bradley Beal or Russell Westbrook. So how do you envision tonight going defensively for the Sixers?
Yeah, like we know Danny Green is, I guess, known more for being a defensive guy now than offensively like he was a few years ago. But it'll probably switch depending on what happens. I think we'll see Ben on Bradley Beal. I think we'll see Ben on Russ. I think we'll see both matchups. It's gonna be tough either way because Danny Green is gonna, like, no matter what, he's gonna have a tough time with either player. I mean, it's Russell Westbrook. He's explosive as hell, and it's Bradley Beal. Like either way, it's gonna be tough as hell. I think Ben Simmons is gonna be fine either way. I think he'll probably start with Bradley Beal. Maybe we'll see what happens, but I think it'll shift throughout the game depending on what happens and adjustments have to be made. So we'll see. It's like either way, you're talking about Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, and you're talking about Danny Green with them. Like we'll see what happens, but I think Ben's going to be fine. I think Danny's going to have a much tougher time.
Well, Matthew says Sixers win 116-98. So we're speaking of defense. Do they hold the Wizards to under 100 tonight?
Under 100? No.
Probably not.
No, come on, guys. I see a lot of comments in here predicting a double-digit win. I really don't think it. Like, it's the beginning of the season. I get it. Like, there's this one comment that's saying, oh, it's a new team for the Wizards, and they won't start clicking right away. What do you think the Sixers are? Like, there's 2 new starters in this team. A whole new coaching staff. Like, they didn't get along preseason. Like, everyone's like that. Everyone's like that. And the other thing you guys got to think about, the biggest thing we need to do defensively tonight is play good perimeter defense. You have to make sure these guards are in check. You have to force them to spots they don't want to go. You have to make sure you're not finding Bradley Beal wide open. Whoever's guarding Bradley Beal's got a long night ahead of them. Whoever's guarding Russell, I don't know who they're sticking on Russ for majority of the game. From the starting lineup, are you putting Seth on him? Hell fucking no.
I don't know what they're going to do because this week, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, then he averages whatever. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Davis Bertans and Thomas Bryant. So Joel Embiid's obviously going to guard Thomas Bryant. Tobias Harris is going to guard Bertans. You can't put Seth Curry on this rookie. The rookie's still 6'9". Like,
yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big kid.
So I assume Ben is forced to guard him, and that leaves Seth Curry on an all-star. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're in a dilemma. It's still going to be a basketball game, but I don't know what they're going to do in terms of starting matchups. I have no clue.
Yeah, don't expect this to be a blowout win in any way. We have good perimeter defense, but we do not have, like, let's call it great guard defenders right now. Like small, not small guards, but, like average size point guards like Russell Westbrook. Like, you can't stick Ben on him the whole game. He's too tall. He needs to guard other big players because you're not sticking Seth on a small forward. You're not sticking him on a power forward. So I think there's going to be a constant mismatch on this perimeter all night. Even with Shake comes in. Shake's no defender.
So we have Dive saying Ben is the engine for the win tonight. He says, push the pace, dominate on defense, limit turnovers, and Sixers win.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said earlier, you can't outrun this. You don't want to outrun this team. It's going to be hard to do that. I feel like they just have like such good explosive players, and you kind of have some good spacing on the floor. I can't pronounce the kid's name from Israel, but the kid's known for being like he's known for being like a good pace guy. Like he's 6'9", known for being a pace guy, and he can shoot the ball. Like you almost want to slow. I think it's in the Sixers' best interest to slow the game down tonight. You don't want to try to outrun Russell Westbrook.
So I think it's Abdia.
Yeah.
No, I think Abadir.
Abadia.
Abadia is a good player. There's a reason he came from Israel and got drafted in the lottery. Like they people see something in him. Like
yeah, I think he's good. I also think when they drafted him, I think they drafted him for John Wall, not for Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Nadir says Denny Avdia. It's Mr. Krell's boy. It's Austin Krell's boy here from TPL. All right, last few minutes. Let's get into our stars of the game and our predictions and final thoughts for tonight's Sixers-Wizards matchup. Again, you want to save ours for the Daily Dose?
Yeah, that's all right.
We'll let George and Snap take over.
Taking away from the show.
Okay. No. But we have
no. I see how it is now. Got a tiny new show, and it's fuck the Phaithful Fanatics now.
Get your roots, buddy.
Yeah. Where you started at.
All right, so what's the question?
Prediction.
Only us.
Start the game first. Start the game.
Start of the game. I'm gonna go with Joel Embiid. Easy answer. Only because who the hell is gonna guard Joel Embiid tonight? Like, I feel like he's gonna get his down low. It's gonna be very easy for him. He's gonna get fouled. Obviously, he's gonna hit the line a lot. I think he goes for 30 tonight. That's just my opinion. So I'm gonna go with JoJo. Are we doing predictions? You want me to throw it out now?
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll go to Snap.
I think Sixers win by 10. That's not because I have Sixers -7, even though I do. But I think Sixers win by like 10. I think it'll be a good game. It's going to be really fun to watch. The Wizards with Bradley Beal and Russ against us, especially opening night. It'll be a good game. But Sixers by 10. Joel goes for 30.
Coyle says star of the game, Tony Bradley.
Absolutely. He read my mind.
Garbage time up by 30.
Snap. Star of the game and score prediction for Sixers-Wizards. 2-5.
2-5. I think Ben's like the comment said before. I think Ben is the absolute reason we win this game tonight. And like Gin said earlier, like with the offense reference, he gets everyone involved. Without him, players aren't involved, and the offense gets stagnant. That was with Brett Brown. We have yet to see that under Doc. But as of right now, that's our point guard. He's going to be running this offense. He's going to be in charge of making sure we limit turnovers tonight. Like Ben needs to limit turnovers. If we limit turnovers tonight, it starts with Ben. And if we do that, there's a good shot we win this game because they're not getting out and running off turnovers. So starts with Ben on keeping turnovers down, and it starts with him on the defensive end, especially at the perimeter. I just said perimeter defense is a huge part of tonight's game. You need to make sure these guys are pressured and pushing them to bad spots that they don't like to be at. So that starts with Ben. He's the lockdown guy on the perimeter, and I just could see him going for something like 18, 10, and 8. 8 rebounds, 10. He might get a triple-double. And the other stat column I want to see big from him tonight is, you were just the steal leaders. Let's keep that up. Let's get some turnovers, early turnovers, quick off, bad passing. Strip a few guys, push that pace, do what you do, Ben. And final score for my prediction, I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I'm going to go 118 to 115. Sorry, Billy, for your spread, but yeah, I think the Sixers pull this one out, and I think it's a lot tighter than people think. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring offensive game.
I think it's a lot tighter than people think, but I don't know where Washington manufactures enough offense outside of their backcourt. I mean, again,
their backcourt can go for 30 each.
We know there's the Sixers way, and that means a random Neto checks into the game, or Rui Hachimura checks into the game, or whoever the case. Davis Bertans goes off tonight.
Don't sleep on Bertans. The Sixers were almost willing to trade a first-round pick for him at one point last offseason. Like, there's a reason everyone was trying. He was one of the most requested names at the trade deadline last year. Like, I'm not saying he's a superstar or an all-star, but the kid's good. He can shoot the shit out of that ball. And then when you have Russell Westbrook causing double teams on a drive and he's kicking it out to the open man, and you know, they can generate the points. Russell Westbrook finds guys. He incorporates guys. Bradley Beal can get 30 any night he wants. Russ can do the same. I think it will be high scoring. And it's going to be star driven.
All right. So everyone, thank you so much. If you're watching right now and you didn't comment your point total prediction for Joel Embiid in tonight's game versus the Wizards, do that on our YouTube page on this video before game time. And follow, if you subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter at FaithfulFans2, and comment your point prediction. You will be entered for the chance to win our giveaway tonight, which is
our first giveaway.
Yeah, our Faithful Fanatics first ever giveaway, Joel Embiid City Edition jersey. Thank you guys so much for watching the Daily Dose with myself and Gint. Jason Blevins will be joining us at some point live from the Wells Fargo Center. That starts at 6 o'clock. So if you want to hear more from myself and get to see Jason down at the center, come join us. Me and Gint will be giving our stars of the game and score predictions there and breaking down the game a little bit more. For myself, for Gint, for Snap, and George.
Everyone got them point totals in real quick at the end.
I know.
Let's go.